Okay, so remember this. Adverbs can be used to make adjectives stronger. First of all, I want you to remember that adverbs have different functions, right? Adverbs can have different functions, okay? One of the functions is to modify or describe the actions or verbs, of course. And another one is to modify or describe or make stronger adjectives. Okay, so in previous days, like Monday and Tuesday, we studied function number 1, how different adverbs can describe or modify actions, right? So for example, I wait patiently. The word patiently is actually describing the way that I'm doing that action, right? I wait patiently. Yesterday, we were talking about how these adverbs can make adjectives stronger. And some of the ideas that we were discussing yesterday were ideas as extremely, right? Extremely talented, very practical, fairly disorganized, totally honest, pretty competitive, so reliable. So all of these words, extremely, very, fairly, totally, pretty, and so, these are adverbs, okay? So these words are classified as adverbs, and they can be used to make adjectives stronger. So it's not just talented, it's extremely talented, okay? So that's more. Very practical, fairly disorganized, totally honest, pretty competitive, so reliable. So these are some of the words. I'm pretty sure that you will learn more along the way. Some of the words that are going to help us describe the adjectives, and they will make it stronger. And this is something that we're going to study today with I will say with more time. Now, we can make adjectives stronger, but at the same time, we're learning on how to convert adjectives to the opposite, to the opposite. And we can do that by adding something at the beginning, okay? That is called a prefix, or in Spanish, prefijo, okay? It's called prefijo because it comes before the word, okay? So it's prefijo. Now it's a prefix, prefijo. Friendly. Now we can transform this word and we can convert it into something opposite by adding the prefix un. Unfriendly, right? Okay, so the prefix is unfriendly. We have the word organized, and we have the prefix disorganized, right? And we're transforming that word into the opposite. And here we already have the prefix. We already have the prefix unreliable, okay? So that means that the opposite is just removing the prefix, reliable. So these are adjectives, and instead of memorizing completely new words, we can use these prefix to transform the words. And I want to stop here and make a comment that I think is going to be useful for you. Cuando vayan a tomar un curso de TOEFL, de preparación para TOEFL, uno de los consejos que dan los preparadores para TOEFL es poder aprenderse los prefijos y los sufijos, ¿verdad? Los prefijos como los que estamos viendo hoy, unfriendly, disorganized, ¿verdad? Estos, y vamos a ver algunos otros más, nos ayudan a poder tener mucho más vocabulario sin tener que memorizar tantas palabras. Si nosotros conocemos los prefijos y sabemos qué significan, ya prácticamente esas son palabras de vocabulario que podemos dar por sentado que tenemos. Por ejemplo, yo ya tengo la palabra friendly. That's part of my vocabulary. I don't have to memorize that. That's an easy word. And suddenly I have a new word that is unfriendly. Me presentan esta nueva palabra, unfriendly, pero como yo empiezo a conocer de los prefijos, yo sé que los prefijos on y this, como en este caso, ¿verdad? Significan lo opuesto. So I don't have to go to the dictionary and do a big research or ask a friend. I actually can understand the meaning of the word, of this new word, because I know the meaning of the prefix. Si no supiera nada de prefijos, entonces estaría un poco en problemas, porque entonces me toca hacer todo ese proceso de investigar y esta palabra cómo es y cómo se pronuncia y qué significa. So this is one excellent way of getting new vocabulary. Uno de ellos, les hablaba ayer, que son los de los cognados. Los cognados son aquellas palabras que tienen en común partes de su escritura, parte de la pronunciación y significan lo mismo, ¿verdad? Un cognado es una palabra como, por ejemplo, la palabra camera, camera. Entonces, en español la palabra es cámara, no cambia casi nada, significan lo mismo, se pronuncian casi igual y se escriben casi igual. Esas son palabras que nosotros aprovechamos. Esas son palabras que ya están en nuestro vocabulario. Entonces, decir que no sabemos nada en inglés sería mentira, porque esas palabras ya están en nuestro vocabulario por defecto, ¿verdad? Pero ahora podemos agregarle más palabras a nuestro vocabulario cuando sabemos que los prefijos, ¿verdad? Le agregan el significado opuesto a ciertas palabras. Ahora, ¿qué tenemos que hacer? Practicar los prefijos, ¿ok? So we have to learn what are these new types of prefixes, what what do they mean, how can I use it, and of course, check some examples on words. So I want to start the class by doing that, okay? Just having some ideas on how these adverbs are going to work. Adverbs to make adjective stronger. And of course, how to talk about opposites with prefixes. Okay, so this is our main idea just for the beginning of this class before we start and do something different. So adverbs, sorry for the typo here, adverbs to make adjectives stronger. We can use adverbs as incredibly, extremely, very, really, and so to make some adjectives and adverbs stronger. Okay, podemos utilizar estos adverbios para hacer a otros adverbios o a otros adjetivos con más fuerza. She's incredibly talented. She's extremely generous. He's a really cool guy. We get along very well. Ahora, dentro de los adverbios para hacer las cosas más fuertes, hay ciertos niveles. Por ejemplo, tenemos palabras como pretty and fairly. Now, I explained yesterday that pretty here doesn't mean bonito o bonita, right? Here, pretty, it's a word that we use to make the adjective stronger. It sounds like it's translated as muy. He's pretty easygoing. Él es muy llevadero. Is pretty easygoing. He's fairly laid back. Él es muy relajado o bastante o un tanto despreocupado. He's fairly laid back. So, pretty and fairly no están hasta el extremo arriba, ¿verdad? Es como, sí, son un poco de esto. He's pretty easygoing. He's fairly laid back. It's a common thing. No estamos tratando de exagerarlo demasiado. No es lo mismo decir así, he's extremely easygoing or he's extremely laid back. Entonces, hay niveles. This is the very first level where it means more than a little, right? Un poquito más. So it's easygoing, but it's more than easygoing. It's pretty easygoing. He's fairly laid back. Now, there are others who are, I will say, more exaggerated. Aquí hay algunos que son exagerados, ¿verdad? Por ejemplo, absolutely and really, this can be used to make it very exaggerated, especialmente cuando tenemos adjetivos que ya son exagerados, como por ejemplo la palabra wonderful. If you go to the dictionary and look for the translation of the word wonderful, you will see that the word wonderful means maravilloso. Ese adjetivo ya es fuerte, ¿verdad? Una cosa es decir, es bonito, es agradable, es interesante, pero otra cosa es decir, esto es maravilloso, ¿verdad? Fuimos a un parque de diversiones y decimos, oh, it was nice, it was very interesting, it was cool, it was fun, but it's another way, it's another thing to say, it was wonderful. Ese adjetivo ya es un poco exagerado. Cuando tenemos casos como esos, ¿verdad? No vamos a decir, she's very wonderful. No quedan bien, ¿verdad? Ya wonderful es exagerado. Pero sí podemos terminar de hacer la exageración completa, como absolutely or really. She's absolutely wonderful. Esta es una exageración a propósito para dejar en claro que esta característica en ella es excepcional. She's absolutely wonderful. Or he's really fantastic. La palabra fantastic ya es exagerada, ¿verdad? Cuando digo, ah, mira aquel tu cuate, ¿qué? Ese mecánico, ese es un mecánico fantástico. So that's an exaggeration, right? But you don't use the word very with these cases, right? They are already strong. They are already exaggerated. So we normally use absolutely or really, okay? That's just to make it clear. Cuando queremos ser exagerados y hablamos del 100%, ¿verdad? Por ejemplo, alguien es 100% honesto, 100% confiable, we can use these words that have the same meaning. Completely es completo, 100%. Totally es totalmente, that's 100% as well. So completely, he's completely honest. She's totally reliable. So as you can see, these are absolutes, ¿verdad? Estamos hablando de an absolute here, 100%. Por supuesto, creo que esto también es un decir, ¿verdad? Es un decir, es decir, que confiamos mucho en esta persona. No estamos diciendo esta persona es perfecta, ¿verdad? Pero sí es un decir en el que confiamos en alguien, en un amigo, en un familiar. He's completely honest or she's totally reliable. This can also be used. Ahora, ¿qué pasa si queremos usar uno de estos, pero en negativo? O sea, queremos hacerlo fuerte, pero queremos hacerlo negativo. Por ejemplo, el adjetivo selfish. Alguien que me recuerde qué es la palabra selfish. Lo aprendimos ayer. Who can remind me what selfish means?
Creo que era como que ignorante, algo así. No.
Egoísta.
Arrogante. Ajá,
Arrogante.
arrogante o egoísta. That's right. So arrogant or selfish, they are kind of a synonym, right? Okay, so selfish, that's a bad adjective, right? That's not a good thing to say. If you're saying that of another person, that's a bad characteristic. But we can use it as a negative. Sí lo podemos usar como negativo para hacer referencia a que esa persona no es eso, ¿verdad? For example, she's not selfish at all. Y aquí lo que estamos agregando es una expresión que se llama at all. At all. ¿Qué quiere decir la palabra at all? Nosotros la traduciríamos como para nada. Ella es para nada egoísta, right? So, how this works. Esto está haciendo este adjetivo más fuerte, pero es uno negativo, ¿ok? Si tenemos un adjetivo que está en una negación y lo queremos hacer fuerte, entonces es at all. Por ejemplo, estoy describiendo a mi primo y mi primo es chispudo, no es perezoso. Entonces yo puedo decir, he's not lazy at all. So I'm using an adjective, the adjective lazy, but I'm saying that he's not lazy. And I want to make that stronger. So I can use the expression at all. Otra vez, at all can only be used with negatives, okay? Es una estructura negativa. If you see this, these are negative sentences. It's saying no, right? She's not selfish at all. He's not lazy at all. and we can continue and say more things about that. But that's just an idea, just for you to see that we can use it in affirmative sentences, and we can also have a way of using adjectives stronger in negative sentences. But these are the correct ways of using adjectives in negative sentences. Now, what happens with the opposites? Now, we studied that opposites are created with prefixes in some cases. No todos los opuestos son transformables, ¿verdad? Por ejemplo, tengo la palabra tall, right? So if I have the word tall, what is the opposite of tall? I have a friend that is tall, and what is the opposite of that?
Small.
Small, there's another word.
Short.
Short, no.
Short, that's right. Short. Small is more for objects. So for example, I have a tall building and I have small building. Pero small creo que tiene que ver más con big and small, right? So I think that that's more like the opposite of big. So we have tall and short, right? Okay. These cannot be transformed. No todos los adjetivos que existan van a poder ser transformados con un prefijo. We have to understand that. There are going to be some adjectives that already have an opposite that can be formed with prefixes. And those are the ones that we are going to study today. But there are going to be some others which are not going to be here, right? Tall, short, or as I mentioned before, big and small, right? So these are another category. These are in another category. They are a different type of antonyms or opposites. Now, the ones that we are studying today are those who are formed with prefixes. Now, what are some of the prefixes that exist in English? Estos son algunos de los prefijos que existen en inglés. Miren, we have im. I'm going to change to a different color because I think this is not the best. Okay, im, I am impatient. Inconsiderate. Unfriendly or unreliable, right? Honest, dishonest. Organized, disorganized. So here are at least 3 forms of prefixes that we can learn and practice to have this part of our vocabulary. So I have patient, impatient with an M, not impatient, impatient. Considerate, inconsiderate. Friendly, unfriendly, not infriendly, right? So be careful with that. Unfriendly, unreliable, dishonest, disorganized, okay? So this is something that we are going to practice with the exercises that we have today. But the more that you practice, the more naturally you're going to be able to use it. And these are going to be words that are already in your vocabulary. So I have considerate. Considerate es alguien que es considerado, ¿verdad? Alguien que puede ser como una traducción de alguien amable, alguien que piensa en los demás. Okay. I have inconsiderate. No tengo que ir al diccionario para eso, ¿verdad? O sea, si considerado es eso, el opuesto yo ya sé que es, ¿verdad? So I don't have to go to the dictionary to add that vocabulary word to my brain, right? I already have it. Entonces, aprovechemos las palabras que tienen prefijos, porque ese vocabulario ya lo tenemos por defecto. Honest, okay, somebody who's honest, honesto. So somebody who's dishonest, I already know what that means. So that is free vocabulary, we want to call it that way, ¿verdad? Es como un vocabulario ya gratuito que se nos da. No tenemos que memorizar más. So that's a good thing in English, because there are always new words, but these new words, the one that have prefixes, will help you a lot in increasing your vocabulary without too much effort. What do we have to do? We do have to learn what are the common prefixes. Im, in, on, and this. Impatient, inconsiderate, unfriendly, unreliable, dishonest, and disorganized. So these are some examples, okay? Now, before we get to the next exercise, I want to give you, it's just a conversation tip or some information that is important for your conversations, okay? So people use really and pretty much more often in conversation than in writing. And this is a big topic. Spoken English and written English are sometimes different. No sé si ya habíamos llegado a este punto de darnos cuenta de esto. Spoken English and written English are sometimes different. Uno pensaría, es el mismo idioma, ¿cómo pueden ser diferentes? Si es inglés, el inglés es lo mismo hablado que escrito. Eso pensaríamos, ¿verdad? Sin embargo, el inglés hablado y el inglés escrito sí tienen algunas diferencias. Es decir, hay ciertas cosas que son más comunes para el inglés hablado, a conversation with friends, a conversation with a teacher, a conversation with, I don't know, somebody, your boss or a coworker, and it's a different type of conversation, the one that you write in a letter or in an email or in a book or in a blog post. So it's different. ¿Qué diferencias podemos notar? Bueno, hay palabras que se usan más en unas que en otras. Por ejemplo, aquí nos dan una. Las palabras really y pretty se usan normalmente cuando hablamos y describimos a alguien o algo en el inglés hablado. En el inglés escrito, por ejemplo, en un libro o en un email o algo por el estilo, vamos a encontrar otras variaciones, pero no tanto really and pretty. Podemos decir que really y pretty son un poco más informales por esa razón. So if you're having a casual conversation with your friends, probably you're going to listen a lot of the words really and pretty because they are more informal. What other things we notice with spoken English and written English? Una de las cosas que son bastante obvias cuando ya estamos en el mundo laboral es que en el inglés hablado hay muchas contracciones. There are a lot of contractions. Por ejemplo, I don't wanna go, I have to go. So, todas esas abreviaciones de sonidos o de palabras en el inglés hablado, in the spoken English, are a lot more common. En el inglés hablado hay mucha contracción en todo lo que decimos, ¿verdad? Y por eso aprendemos las contracciones primero, porque eso nos hace sonar un poquito más naturales. But the written English doesn't have as many contractions. No que no exista ninguna contracción, ¿verdad? Pero en un idioma escrito del inglés es mucho más común ver, por ejemplo, I do not que de ver I don't. So, separated words. Porque la comunicación escrita por lo general es más formal. Hay una notificación que te llega a tu casa, hay un correo que le estás enviando a tu jefe. So, all of those things are more formal. More formal English, written English, will have some differences. Pero esta clase no se trata de las diferencias entre escrito e inglés, el inglés escrito o el hablado. Pero es bueno empezar a notarlas. Okay, so this is something that you're going to start noticing the more that you read and the more that you speak. So, do we have any questions before I go to our next stage, which is practice? Any questions, comments? We're good?
Can you repeat again? Just kidding.
Good. Good. Okay, so let's go and do the exercise then. If there are questions after the exercise, that's great. I can help you with that part. Okay, so now let's try to put this into practice and let's bring it to real life. Okay, so do you know people with these qualities or these characteristics, right? Okay, totally laid back, pretty generous, very honest, absolutely wonderful, completely reliable. Okay, so for example, I can say something like this. Let's say that I'm doing all of the sentences and I'm on my fifth sentence. And I'm gonna say my best friend Anna is completely reliable. Okay, so what I'm doing is that I'm bringing all of these ideas and I am applying it to my life. people that I know and people that I'm related with, right? So right now I'm talking about a friend, right? So my best friend, Anna, is completely reliable. So this exercise is going to help us to bring this knowledge and apply it to a real life situation in which we are describing that to our friends or to the rest of the people. So try to think of a person in every sentence. Try to think of a person who has this characteristic that is close to you. Okay. So someone in your house, maybe a family member, maybe a friend, maybe a worker at your job, or any other people that you can name that is around you. If you cannot definitely name anybody, well, make that sentence up, okay? Invéntense la oración si de verdad no encuentran a alguien que tenga esa característica. The thing is that we will have to build 5 real sentences if possible, and if not, of course, try to do them. If you can, try to do them made up. If you don't find anybody in your house. Okay, so after the exercise, we will share our screen and I'll ask you to describe some of the people you know, okay? So let's take 3 minutes for this exercise. Remember, you can send it in the Zoom chat si no les funciona el Nearpod por alguna razón, pero aún así quieren participar, envíenlo al chat de Zoom. Ahí recibo sus mensajes directos, ahí puedo darles un poco de feedback y cuando ustedes los lean de vuelta, por supuesto, ahí lo vamos a tener. So feel free to do that part and I'll be more than happy to follow up with you. Okay, time's up. And let's review your answers one by one. Let's see. I have everybody's answers. No, Sander, no me llegaron tus respuestas. Vi tu mensaje, pero no las veo. No las veo. Ni en el chat tampoco. Vamos a ver, le voy a dar tiempo. De repente está cargando. Ahí está, ya llegaron. Ya llegaron. Ahora sí. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at your answers very quickly. I'm gonna go with Luisa. So Luisa, read 2 sentences. Whatever sentences you want. 2 of them.
Okay, my coworker Juan is totally laid back with the problems that happen in a day. Renata is the friend of my grandmother and she's pretty generous.
Okay, perfect. Those 2 are perfect. Thank you very much. So my coworker Juan is totally laid back with the problems that happen in a day. Okay, good. So Juan seems to be a nice person. Great. Let's go with Friseida. Friseida, can you read 2 of your sentences as well?
My uncle is totally relaxing. My aunt Lucy is cute, generous. My mom is very honest.
Mhm.
My little brother is absolutely wonderful. My completely trustworthy aunt Lucy.
Ok, perfect. Esta palabra que está aquí se lee como quite. Quite es un sinónimo de pretty, como decir como es bastante o un poco, es más que un poquito, ¿verdad? So my aunt Lucy is quite generous. Okay, so that's great. Good sentences. Thank you very much for reading them out loud. Let's go with Karen. Karen, can you read 2 of your sentences?
My sister Ingrid is pretty generous, and my mom is absolutely wonderful.
Okay, perfect. Well done. Good use of them. Let's go with Miguel. Miguel, can you help me with 2 of your sentences?
Okay. I am totally laid back.
Mhm.
My friend is pretty generous.
Okay,
I have a friend that is very honest. I know a place is absolutely wonderful.
okay, very good. La palabra generoso en inglés se pronuncia generous. Can you repeat that? Generous.
Generous?
Do it again. Generous.
Generous? Generous?
Yes, that sounds better. Good job. Thank you very much.
And the word completely? No,
Sure. The pronunciation is completely.
completely.
Mhm,
Oh, completely.
mhm. Se escribe completely, right? But it's the word complete and then ly, completely.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
Sure, no problem. Let me go with Pablo. Pablo, can you read 2 of your sentences?
My father waited for me at the bus stop, totally relaxed.
Mhm.
My teacher yesterday was kid generous with me.
Ok,
Eh,
este no es kit, ¿verdad? Hace un ratito lo dije, ¿cómo se pronunciaba? Quite.
quite.
Quite es como decir pretty or más que un poquito, ¿verdad? So my teacher yesterday was quite generous with me. Can you read that again?
Quite generous with me.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
My best friend, Jose, is very honest.
Mhm.
She is absolutely wonderful.
Okay, perfect. Good job. Good job. So let's go with Sander and then Oscar, and that will be it. So let's go, Sander.
My mother is very honest. My dog is pretty. My aunt is completely reliable.
Reliable.
Re-
Reliable.
reliable.
Ujú. Ah, aquí es pretty. Es que lo que pasa es que aquí pretty no significa bonito, ¿verdad? Sino significa muy. Entonces aquí nos hace falta algo. My dog is pretty es muy ¿qué? My dog is pretty what? pretty great. It's pretty
It's
awesome.
wonderful.
Okay, well, that's good. Okay, so we can use my dog is it's extremely wonderful, something like that. If we want to exaggerate that part, but we can add that. Yo sé que la palabra pretty a veces nos puede confundir porque pretty también cuando es un adjetivo significa bonito, pero hoy no lo estamos viendo como adjetivo, sino como esa palabra que está sustituyendo a la palabra muy, como que si fuera un very, something like that. Let's go with Oscar. Oscar, can you read your sentences?
Yes, teacher, sorry. But let me say something. Everybody right here in this group write fast, not me. And I only write two and two in my notebook.
That's okay.
The first
That's
one,
good. That's good.
okay. The first one say, my boss is laid back always. My wife is pretty and generous.
Mhm.
My grandfather is very honest. My mother-in-law is pretty honest.
Okay, very good, very good. Here I think that we're still confusing here. Aquí, ¿cuál es la traducción de esta segunda oración? My wife is.
My wife is pretty and generous.
Porque aquí la palabra pretty la estamos usando como bonita, no como muy,
Well,
¿verdad? No como muy. Este pretty siempre va pegado a un adjetivo porque aumenta el adjetivo, ¿verdad? Mi esposa es muy pretty nice, es pretty
okay.
reliable o pretty generous, porque hoy estamos viendo pretty no como ese adjetivo de que algo a alguien es bonito, sino como ese adverbio que le da poder al siguiente adjetivo, ¿verdad? Entonces, aquí, por ejemplo,
Suppose I want to say is maybe very pretty or
okay, very pretty, that can
very
work.
pretty and generous.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
So we are using very. En ese caso, lo que estamos haciendo es cambiar los papeles. Estamos usando very as the word that makes stronger, and pretty is the adjective. Is very pretty. Eso existe. That exists. That is also
But
possible.
when we put something before the pretty, say mean the same thing. For example, if I say very pretty is muy bonita or
That's right. That's right. The thing is that the word pretty is a word that has many meanings. So pretty can mean bonita when it's an adjective, of course, but pretty can also mean muy when it's an adverb. Una misma palabra puede ser un adverbio o un adjetivo, así en el inglés y en el español, ¿verdad? So in this case, of course, it depends on the context. So here your context is saying that your wife is pretty. So you are using pretty as an adjective. We can modify that and we can say, my wife is very pretty. But I can also add an idea and say, my wife is pretty generous. So that is also a good sentence because pretty also means muy. Mi esposa es muy generosa. So this also makes sense. It all depends on what you're trying to communicate.
Okay, thank you, teacher.
Okay, no problem. But thank you for trying and thank you for experimenting with me. I know that not all of the sentences were perfect for all of us, but this was a very good exercise in which we're bringing this to our real life. That's the purpose of these exercises, to think of someone who you know and try to apply this into a real conversation that you may have with somebody. Okay, so that's good. Now I want to do a little listening exercise with you. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen. Just give me a second, and I'm gonna share a little table with you. Una tabla. I'm gonna share a table with you that has some information that I want you to consider. Pueden usar su cuaderno. Vamos a ver. Ahí está. Pueden usar su cuaderno, pueden usar su computadora, whatever you are using to take notes. It doesn't matter. So whatever you're using to take notes, this is what you are supposed to check. So this is a little table and you have 3 people. You have John, you have Marina, you have Hiroyuki, right? So these are three people. And these people are talking about people they admire. Very similar to the readings that we had yesterday, right? Yesterday we were talking about and we were reading about people admiring their teacher, right? My teacher is wonderful. She's very fun in class. Her classes are awesome. Or I admire my dad. He's very relaxed or pretty laid back, etc., etc. So we have that information there. Now, today we're talking about different people. These are different, completely different stories. John, Marina, and Hiroyuki are going to tell us who they admire, why they admire him or her, what do they have in common? Like, for example, what does John have in common with the person he admires? And what are the differences that John and that person has? Okay, so we're going to listen for a moment and we're going to try to pay attention. So this listening, it's a bit long. It's a bit long. Es un poquito largo. It's a bit long because of course we're listening to three stories. But hopefully this can be a good exercise to keep you paying attention and of course training your ears a little bit more specifically. So let me play the recording and let's see how that goes. Let's start with John and then I'm going to stop. I'm going to start with John and then I'm going to stop.
John, who do I admire? I guess I'd say my best friend. Yeah, my best friend Max.
Teacher, disculpe, el audio no se escucha.
Ah, qué mal, no se escucha. Vamos a ver. Voy de nuevo.
John, who do I admire?
Y ahí sí se oyó en la intro.
Sí, teacher, ahí está mejor.
Sí, ok, perdón. Entonces va de nuevo, pues. Ahorita solo vamos a ver la historia de John para que no nos abrumemos, ¿ok? So just John. Let's do John again.
John, who do I admire? I guess I'd say my best friend. Yeah, my best friend Max. I guess I admire him because he has a lot of problems, but he's always smiling, you know? He has a great sense of humor. And, we have a lot in common. Like, we're both pretty outgoing. I mean, we like going to parties and things. But we're different in other ways. Like, he doesn't get stressed easily. He's like totally laid back. Me, I'm always stressed. I'm not relaxed at all.
Okay, so here we have John. John is telling us who he admires. And he's telling us the name of the person and who that person is. He's telling us the reason. Why does he admire this friend? And what they have in common with this friend and how they are different with this friend. Okay, we're going to do one last attempt. Un último intento vamos a hacer. You can go ahead and of course take your notes and let's see how many of you were able to listen to all of these parts. Like, who does John admire, the reason, and what do they have in common and what do they have different? Okay, so let's listen to John one last time.
John, who do I admire? I guess I'd say my best friend. Yeah, my best friend Max. I guess I admire him because he has a lot of problems, but he's always smiling, you know? He has a great sense of humor. And, we have a lot in common. Like, we're both pretty outgoing. I mean, we like going to parties and things. But we're different in other ways. Like, he doesn't get stressed easily. He's like totally laid back. Me, I'm always stressed. I'm not relaxed at all.
Okay, perfect. So let's try to put some names, at least some information in here. Okay, what is the name of the person that John admires?
Max.
Max.
Max,
Max. Okay, Max. Who was Max?
his best friend.
Best friend.
His
Okay,
best friend.
perfect. So Max, sorry, best friend. Ok, entre todos vamos a tratar de ponerle ahí pies y cabeza a esto. So we have John, his best friend is Max, and that's a person that he admires. Okay, so let's try to put together some ideas. What's the reason why John admires Max?
He say always he have a problem, but he smile all times.
Okay, so anybody else wants to add anything?
He has a good humor.
Okay, a great sense of humor. Okay, perfect. So he has a lot of problems. Okay. But is always smiling. Okay. Good. So that's good. And he has a great sense of humor. We can add that as extra. What are some things that John and Max have in common?
Both the pretty outgoing
Okay, good.
and they like going party.
Both are pretty outgoing. Here we see that word, this is repeating. This adjective is something that we studied before. Outgoing means an extrovert, an extrovertido, right? So pretty outgoing, and of course that means that they like to go to parties and things. How are they different?
Max is totally laid back and he don't get stressed.
Okay, Max laid back, right? It's relaxed, right? And what about John?
He always get stressed.
Okay, and John gets stressed. Okay, good job. So here, with all of your ideas and all of the things that you said, we were able to put together a lot of information. So we know Max, and we know some of the characteristics of Max because of what John is saying. We know who is Max. We know what are the things that they have in common, and we know the things that makes them different. So this is good. The more that we listen, the more that we're going to train our ears. Now we have two more stories. We have Marina and we have Hiroyuki. Now let's listen to Marina. That's another person. She has another person to admire. And then we are going to have to listen for the same information. What's the reason why Maria admires this new person? What do they have in common? And how are they different? So let's continue with this.
Marina.
Ooh, good question. My sister. She's really generous. I mean, she's always helping people. Like, she volunteers at a hospital on weekends and everything. We're very similar in some ways. Like, we're both into sports, and we're extremely competitive. Yeah, we both try really hard to win. But I guess she's pretty disorganized. You know, she doesn't always plan things well, and well, I am pretty organized.
Hiroyuki.
Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to play Marina again, and you are going to listen to who he is, okay? So if there's a name, write the name. If there is no name, just write at least who that person is and why. Why does Marina admires that person? What do they have in common and how they are different, okay? This time I'm gonna put it just 2 times, okay? This is the final opportunity. Try to write as many ideas as you can, and then we're gonna complement with what other classmates say.
Marina.
Ooh, good question. My sister. She's really generous. I mean, she's always helping people. Like, she volunteers at a hospital on weekends and everything. We're very similar in some ways. Like, we're both into sports, and we're extremely competitive. Yeah, we both try really hard to win. But I guess she's pretty disorganized. You know, she doesn't always plan things well, and well, I am pretty organized.
Hiroyuki.
Okay, so let's go through Marina. What is the name or who's the person who Marina admires?
Your sister.
Her sister.
That's right, that's right. Her sister. Okay, muy bien. So I don't say your sería como que yo le digo a alguien tu hermana, ¿verdad? Pero como estamos hablando de la hermana de ella, es her sister. This is the correct. But yes, is a sister. That's right. It's a sister. So you got it right. Let's go with the why. Why or what's the reason why Marina thinks she admires her sister?
She is pretty generous.
Okay, that's one thing. Anybody else have any extra information?
Is she helping people? She's volunteering a hospital.
People at a hospital. Okay, that's extra information. Good job. Let's see. Okay, there's more information about the hospital and everything, but we're gonna leave it there. We're not gonna be too exhaustive. What are some of the things that Marina and her sister have in common?
Both likes sport.
And she is a disorganizer.
Okay, so let's go one by one. So they both like sports. Both like sports. Any other ideas? She says that she's disorganized, but I think that
Both
that's one
try
of the
to win.
difference. Okay, how do you call that,
And
Luisa?
They are extremely competitive.
Competitive, that's right. So they are both trying to win, and they are extremely. That's the word that I wanted to use. Extremely competitive. Sorry, Karen, you were going to say something. Sorry.
no, I'm gonna say the same. Extremely competitive.
Okay, perfect. Okay, good. So these are words that summarize everything, right? So they both like sports, and there are some information about that, and they both like to win, right? So they are extremely competitive, right? Now there are some differences now, how they are different. What's Marina like and what's her sister like?
Marina is organized and her sister is disorganized.
Okay, disorganized and organized. So notice here that we are actually using the prefixes, right? Organized is an adjective, and we can find the opposite by adding the prefix dis. And now is disorganized is the opposite of that. Okay, good job. So we have a pretty good idea of who Marina is now. This is her sister. Marina is someone that we can admire because she's pretty generous and she helps people at a hospital on the weekends. Things that they have in common, both like sports, they are extremely competitive. And Marina's sister is pretty disorganized and Marina is organized. So that is something that they are very different. Let's go with the last one, okay? Hiroyuki. Hiroyuki is our last character. Let's see what they have to say about Hiroyuki.
Hiroyuki.
Someone I admire? My art teacher. He's an extremely talented artist. I mean, his work is totally awesome, but he's very generous with his time. I guess we don't have a lot in common. We both take art pretty seriously. I mean, we both work incredibly hard to get our paintings just right. But I think our personalities are completely different. Like, sometimes he gets really impatient, but I'm fairly patient and easygoing.
Hiroyuki.
Someone I admire? My art teacher. He's an extremely talented artist. I mean, his work is totally awesome, but he's very generous with his time. I guess we don't have a lot in common. We both take art pretty seriously. I mean, we both work incredibly hard to get our paintings just right. But I think our personalities are completely different. Like, sometimes he gets really impatient, but I'm fairly patient and easygoing.
Sorry, I was muted. So let's try to check here. And what's the person who Hiroyuki admires? What's the name of the person or who that person is?
His teacher.
It's a teacher, but what kind of teacher?
His art teacher.
That's right. That's right. So his art teacher. Let me write that down. His art teacher. So it was not just the teacher, right? It was the art teacher. Okay, his art teacher. Now, give me some reasons why Hiroyuki admires his art teacher. There are a few, but give me a couple of ideas.
He's very generous.
Okay, generous. Can you complement that, Angel?
His work is awesome.
Sorry, awesome what? I didn't get that part.
His work is awesome.
Okay, his work is awesome. Yes, you're right. Anybody else can help me? He's generous, but he's a different kind of generous. Can someone help me complement this part?
Very generous.
But generous with what? With his money?
With the time.
That's right. Generous with his time. So he clarified that. It's not that he is giving money to the poor, right? Is that he is very generous with his time. So probably he pays a lot of attention to his students. That's something that probably happening. So he's very generous with his time. His work is also awesome. So that's right. Now, what do they have in common? What Hiroyuki and this person have in common? What do you think?
Both take art pretty seriously.
Okay, take art pretty seriously. So, miren cómo aquí pretty sirve para aumentarle a seriamente o en serio la fuerza, ¿verdad? No solo se toma el arte en serio, sino se toma el arte muy en serio. So this is one way in which we can use the word pretty to make the other word, make the next word stronger. It could be an adjective or it can be an adverb. Anybody else? What else?
His teacher is patient, but he's not.
Okay, very good. So those are the difference. You're right. So let's jump to the differences now. So let's say the art teacher and Hiroyuki. So what are the difference? He talked about being patient or impatient. Let's get that information correctly. Who's the impatient one? The art teacher or Hiroyuki?
The art teacher.
The teacher, right? Okay, so he's impatient. And the opposite of impatient is patient, right? Now, he used another word. He said, I'm fairly patient and
Easygoing.
Easygoing.
easygoing. Can somebody refresh my memory? What is the translation of easygoing?
Llevadera.
Es muy llevadero.
Llevadero, that's right, that's right. So, alguien de trato fácil. So you're not going to have a problem with a person like that. So he's very patient and easygoing, and he's our teacher. He's very generous with his time. His work is awesome, but he's a little impatient. That also happens sometimes. Okay, so that's something that I wanted to do with you. And I am going to get back to our Nearpod exercises, and we are going to finish this section with a little conversation exercise, but I'll give you the advantage of thinking for a moment, okay? So if we go back to Nearpod, you're going to have this question over here, which is a more personal question, because now I'm asking you guys, who do you admire? Now you have some examples. Through the questions you saw, the people said who they admired, why they admire it, what are some things that they have in common, and what are some differences, okay? So I want you to consider those same steps when you're answering this question. So when you answer who you admire, I want you to think of the name of the person or who that person is. I want you to tell me, why do you admire that person? And I want you to think about the things that you have in common with the person and the differences. You don't have to make questions. No tienen que hacerlo en preguntas, ¿verdad? No tienen que hacerme las 4 preguntas y contestar las 4 preguntas. Vieron que ellos explicaron y contaron su experiencia, pero no iban contestando un cuestionario. En su redacción o en su speech, ¿verdad? Ellos iban contando cada una de esas cosas. Nosotros fuimos identificando esos 4 puntos de la información que ellos dieron. Vamos a tratar de hacerlo igual de natural o tan natural como nos sea posible, in which you're going to create an answer and you're going to provide me with all those pieces of information, okay? The name of the person, who that person is, why you admire it, the differences in between that person and yourself, and the things that you have in common. So that's going to be our final exercise for today. I'm going to give you the opportunity to write it first. Siempre ahorita, mientras empezamos, les voy a dar la oportunidad de escribirlo. Siempre que lo escribimos nos ayuda a pensar. So I'm giving you that chance of thinking and planning and writing. Cuando ya nos adentremos más profundo en los ejercicios de conversación, ya no van a tener tiempo para escribirlo. So you're going to have to answer spontaneously, right? So today I'm still giving you some opportunity because I want you to think. So you have the option of sharing your thoughts here, and you can write your text. Your text is going to be here. And of course, feel free to add an image or an illustration to your idea. I'm going to give you about four to 5 minutes for you to plan this and for you to write it, okay? 4 to 5 minutes. And when the time is over, I want you to post your answer, and then I'm going to call your name and I will let you talk about the person you admire. It can be anyone. It can be someone in your family, it can be a friend, or it can be any other person. So let's think about this and take 4 minutes. I'm going to check my chronometer and start. Okay, so el tiempo está corriendo ahorita. You have 4 minutes, 4 to 5 minutes to think about this, to write it, to add an image. Pueden escribir, añadir una imagen, and you can send it, okay? Si no lo han enviado para cuando termine el tiempo, le voy a pedir que lo envíen como esté. Okay, so if you haven't finished by that moment, you're going to have to send it as it is. But you will have the opportunity to present or to say something about that person. Okay, 4 minutos.
Pregunta, teacher.
Go ahead.
Conforme vayamos escribiendo, vamos de nuevo posteándolo ahí en el...
No, pueden escribir el párrafo completo y luego postearlo.
Ok, está bien.
Sure,
Gracias.
no problem. You have 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Remember that you're gonna have to share your ideas as well, okay? So I'm giving you the opportunity to write something, to plan something, and then you're gonna read it or you're gonna talk about the person who you admire. Okay, time is over. Let's go ahead and share whatever we have. Lo que sea que hayamos tenido. If you didn't finish, that's okay. We'll still have the opportunity to share something. So I have this order. I have Liz first, and then I have Oscar, I have Friseida, Miguel, Luisa. I'm still missing a few of you. So hopefully you can send them quickly. Si no lo pudieron hacer, pero lo tienen en un mensaje y lo quieren mandar, pueden mandarlo al chat. If not, I'll give you the opportunity to just talk about it, okay? That's also a possibility. So let's get started so we can finish quickly. Let me start with Liz. Liz, can you tell me who you admire, the reason you admire that person, some of the things that you have in common, some of the differences?
Okay, I admire my mom because she was very generous and organized. And both I like basketball.
Mhm.
And my mother is very quiet. Me too.
Okay, so you're both
Um,
quiet, okay?
uh, different. She is oh, I don't know. Parecemos muchos. No
Okay.
encuentro
So,
diferencias.
okay, so you have more
Nos
similarities than
parecíamos
differences.
mucho.
Okay, great. That's also possible. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And now we know that you have more things in common. Great. So that
Okay.
you're very thank you very much for sharing this. We have Oscar. Oscar, what about you? Can you tell us about the person you refer to? Again, the reason why you admire that person and some things that you have in common and differences.
Sorry, but I don't finish. But
That's okay.
it's because I don't know. But always I can find the images. But somebody tell me right now how
Sure.
how I do.
So can you see my screen? I'm gonna show you very quickly. So here
Yes.
there is this little block here
GIF. Okay.
next to the GIF, next to the GIF.
Oh,
Here,
okay.
this little square. When you click on it, you have a search bar. So like if you're
Okay.
searching it on Google, so you can say grandfather. Let's say that we want the grandfather image.
Mm-hmm.
So grandfather, and then look for it. Is going to give you all the options, all the possibilities of a grandfather photo. So we can add
Okay.
this one, right? And then, okay, so probably sometimes we have this problem, which it's a file that grandfather that cannot be posted, but let's use this man over here. And here I can write my text and then I can post it and it's going to
Okay.
post it with my text. That's how
Thank you.
how you can do it.
Okay.
So
I
let's talk
admire
about
my
your grandfather.
Okay. I admire my grandfather because he's a good person, and why is because he always help different people, and he says I don't want to receive nothing for for the people want to say thank you, but I like to help the people, and we have something in common because we are similar, and especially right now because I have more white hair, and the difference with him, I think, is because he is a different religion, and he like to a Democrat polite, and I are different.
And you have different political thoughts.
Yes.
Okay, good. So that's also a difference. Thank you very much. Now we know more about your grandfather and your similarity and your and your differences. Good job. The next in my
Thank you.
list, you're welcome. It's Friseida. Friseida, can you let me know about the person who you admire and things that you may have in common and differences?
I am under my daughter Laila. She is very generous. She helps people when she can.
Mhm. Do you have something in common? Or do you have any differences?
We are respectful.
Mhm. Anything else?
I don't know about differences.
Okay, that's okay. So good job. Thank you for posting a nice image over here and letting us know more about Dr. Laila. Very good. Let's go with Miguel. Miguel, it's your turn. Tell me about the person you admire and why.
I have my teacher. Excuse me. Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. Who do you admire and why do you admire that person? The reason why you admire that person.
Oh, he is a person very honest with me,
Mm-hmm.
and is pretty generous. Generous is a big person.
Nice. Do you have something in common with your friend?
Mm, only he him like to play Facebook, and
Okay,
me.
that's perfect. And now what about differences?
Oh, and- oh, it's more easy. Him is patient, and I am impatient.
Okay, that's a good difference, a clear difference. Good job. Luisa, what about you? Can you read a bit of your person?
Okay, I admire my mom because she's a true person and isn't selfish at all. Both are pretty organized with the things that we have to do.
Mhm.
Always, she teaches me that we have to do the things very well. But when we are in a hurry, she's fairly laid back, and I am a little stressed. But she remember and told me that, or give me some advices to stay in, how do you say, laid back.
Mhm.
Yeah, only that.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So I'm glad that you admire your mom and that you can see all of these good things in her. Thank you very much for sharing. Let's see. I have Karen next. Karen, can you let us know about the person you admire and the reasons why?
I admire my mom. She's absolutely wonderful. She's incredible talent. She help people, both friendly and patient, and both like dancing.
Mhm.
And she's organized. How do I say organized?
Organized.
Organized. I'm not. I am disorganized.
Okay. So that's the biggest difference, that she's more organized than you.
Yes.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for sharing about your mom. What's your mom's name?
Gloria.
Gloria. Okay, perfect.
And
Does she
if
live
if
there with you?
yes, if I try to say like, because she's very good. She cook. I don't know how to describe it. That
Like the dish?
no, cook.
Okay, she likes to cook. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you. I'm missing Pablo and Sander. So Pablo, do you have anything to share? I can give you that opportunity. Or Sander? Sander, would you like to share something of this? Do you admire anybody that you would like to talk about? Just to give everybody a chance. Okay, let's leave it there then. I got your messages. Thank you very much. So we're going to stop there because the time is over. But I'm glad that we had this very nice conversation. You were able to think more. And if you pay attention, you're using some of the words that we're talking about, like very generous, right? Very generous, very patient, pretty generous, extremely not selfish at all. So these are very good things because this is the way that we are bringing English into our real life. It's not just learning and memorizing words, but also like trying to adapt that English that we know to real situations in which we are describing people. This is going to be something super useful in real life. So we're going to talk about this next week. We're going to add a little bit more, but that's going to be everything from me. Remember, today we don't have any quizzes, we don't have any tests. Tomorrow we don't have any classes. We don't have the conversation club because we are doing the conversation part in our classes. So you don't have to join to the conversation club. Later, we will let you know what other things we're going to be doing on Fridays. But for now, take Friday off. We do have a weekly homework, but it's going to be different. It's not going to be complicated, and I'm going to be sending you a link. It's going to be a Nearpod exercise that you can do on your own from your phone, from your tablet, from your computer. So you don't have to download anything. You don't have to upload anything. The platform is going to guide you and take you over the homework. So it's going to be a lot easier because what we're trying to do is to make it easier for you to practice. So you don't skip homework. Instead of that, you enjoy doing the homework, and of course you get the additional points for participating. So just a reminder for that. I'll see you on Monday at 7:30 one more time. I'll send you the link for the homework for tomorrow. It's going to be short and it's going to be just one single link. Have a great weekend and I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye,
teacher.
everybody.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Thank you, teacher. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.